Hi, it's Rachel here. I'm preparing a little craft with me how to sort of video. I wanted to show how I made this little booklet that I had included in my fabric Christmas book, and it's made with old book pages. Pretty much covered them up so you can't really see them there, but I thought it might be fun to show you how I did that. So this little book has been decorated with an printed out image and then some antique lace, and then on the back some more antique lace, hand stamped, and just some scrap paper. Some of it's been stitched on and some of it has been glued on. So then I stitched on some ties, and I stitched those on afterwards because otherwise they would get in the way, and I just glued down some washi tape to make sure that it stuck down well. And then when you open it, it has one signature, it has a tuck spot, some scrapbook paper inside, and then a whole mix of pages that you can use as a little notebook. I thought these are really cute and could be really nice gifts for someone. So the one we'll do today won't be Christmas themed because it's not Christmas yet, but you could adapt the theme to whatever you like. So we'll go ahead and get started. So that's the little book. So the first thing we're going to need is some old book pages. So I have an old book insert here, and this is quite a nice stiff type of paper. It's quite thick, so that's good. So I used 3 of those. And then I'll just show you the supplies first. You'll need some scrapbooking paper. So I've got a little notepad here, and then some trim for your ties. This is a linen trim. You'll need to have papers for your inside. So I've got a mix of scrapbooking papers and then some old papers and just a whole mix there. And you'll need some old laces and trims as well, and maybe some scraps, some scraps of papers and an image as well. So let's get started. The first thing you need to do is how to break down your book. So these books are normally, especially the old ones, are stitched into signatures, so groups of pages, and you need to find the center. So these pages I like to keep because they're great to stitch onto or use as the backings for journaling cards or tags. So let's go on until we find the center. Here's the center, and you can see where it's been stitched in or tied. So where have my little scissors? As usual, I'm in a mess. So what you do is you find the center and you cut these. This is how you get your pages out whole, because we're not going to do this like when I did the tags where you could just rip the pages off. We need these pages to be whole because this is going to be our kind of like our spine. So you want to lift them out whole like this. So in this case I'm going to use 3 because this book is the pages are very thick. So I've got my 3 pages, and I'll just put the book aside. And then all I'm going to do very quickly is, oh my goodness, I've lost my Yoo-hoo glue. Where is it? My glue stick. Where's it gone? Oh, it's all the way over there. How did it get over there? Oh my gosh, I try to be organised. I'm just incredible. Okay, so here we go. So what I'll do is I'll just lift up my one page, put it aside, and randomly, because we like being very random and not too precise, put some glue there. You don't need to go to the edges. In fact, I don't recommend you go to the edges because we're going to sew. And then just line it up as best you can. We'll trim it down anyway, so it doesn't matter if it's not too well lined up. So just rub it down, and then we're going to lift those 2 up, put them aside, and then we're going to glue it again, and then carefully, as best we can, I'm not a very precise person, just line it up and glue it down. Okay, so then you can use it this size, but if you want something small to insert into something or to carry around in your bag or just to make small gifts, you might want to cut it down. I've already prepared one and I cut it down to 9 centimeters by 13 centimeters. So I'll grab the one that I've already prepared. I did that just so we could go a little bit faster and this wouldn't take forever. So I'll oops, I'm sorry. Okay, so here's my little book already prepared. It's 9 centimeters or a little bit more, 3.6 inches. It's a little bit more than 3.5. Or, and then the height, sorry, is, what is that? 5.2 inches. So not quite 5.25, but 5.2 inches, I think. Anyway, you look at that. I don't work in inches. And then the centimeters are 13. Okay, so we have our little book. Now the next thing we want to do is I prefer to prepare the inside and then the outside. So we're going to need to cut down some scrapbooking paper, because in this one, why did I tie it up? In this one I lined the front and back with some scrapbooking paper. Now you can choose not to do that. You could tear and collage and be able to see a little bit of the old book, but in this case I'm going to cover it. So I've already prepared here my 2 pieces, if I can find them. Here I think I'm being super organized. Here's the other one. No, that's not it. Where's the other one? Is that it? No, that goes with my image. So my other one is here, I think. Okay, yes. So what I did was I cut them. I'll get my ruler again. Slightly smaller. So 12.5 centimeters by 8.5 centimeters. And then this one in inches. 2 notches less than 5 inches. Can you see that there? What do you call that? I don't know. A little bit less than 5 inches. And then 5 notches after the 3. Not quite 3.5. Maybe it's 3.25. No, not quite. A little bit more. Anyway, you can see it there. Okay. So these are my pieces for inside. One will go here. One will go here. Now, if you don't like sewing, you can glue them in. I'm going to sew them in. And in this case, I'm not going to use, I'm just going to, actually this one has some cuts there. So I don't know how I did that, but I didn't want to throw out the paper because I really like it. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue behind there. Just so that will stay down. But I might put some, I might put some washi tape over that. Oh, now I've got glue everywhere. Okay. So I'll just put that one down there, like so. Okay. And I'm just going to bring it over to my sewing machine. And I'll just put my sewing machine into frame so you can see. Hopefully you can see okay there. And I'm going to stitch it down. It didn't glue very well, did it? I think all the glue came through on the other side. So I'm just going to line it up by eye, more or less. Everything's a more or less sort of approach. And just slip it on there, and hopefully it doesn't stick down on the glue. I need to change my needle anyway, so I'm not worried about it. And I am going to backstitch. Some people don't. It might be the sewer in me that makes me do that. And I'm just going to go. Now, lots of people say that they can't sew straight. Well, in theory, the sewing machine will go straight. You just have to guide it with your hands. So you're not holding it really hard, you're just resting your hands on the piece and letting the sewing machine go through. So watch. I'm not pushing, I'm just guiding. I'm just making sure it doesn't move. So you're not telling it what to do unless you're turning a corner or something like that, doing something rounded. But if you're going straight, the sewing machine in theory will go straight. You just have to guide it a little bit. So here we go. Also with paper, you might have to just put some pressure there to hold it down so it doesn't bunch up. And I'm just guiding it. The machine is doing the direction for me, it's not me. I'm just holding on to it. So we've done one, and I already really like that. Now the reason why I'm doing the inside first is just so I would prefer to have, I might cover that up, or I just prefer to stitch that first and then do my outside. So it doesn't really matter, but it's just a personal preference. So here we go. I'm going to put my next piece on. Just be careful not to go to your spine, right to where your center is. And I'm going to kind of vaguely line it up, slip it under, excuse me, and backstitch, and off I go. And I'm really literally just holding it because I have a whole lot of mess around me, and if it crashes into something, then it will go crooked. So that's another reason why you hold on to it, but you're not pushing it through. Just have a sip of coffee to keep the energy up. Okay. And off we go. So that is done. Take it out of our machine. Sorry if I knocked the thing, it's all too much. Okay, so let's just move the machine over a little bit. Okay, my next job is, I've already chosen, because sometimes the thought process takes too long, but I've already chosen this. And I'm thinking I'm just going to make a very simple antique. It's kind of like a border. It's got, I don't know what you call that in Italian. It's cut, oh well, it's cut work, and then it's got some beautiful antique lace, and it has beautiful hand-stitched, satin-stitched dots on it. It's very old and yellow, and that's what I like about it. It goes with the old yellow paper. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stitch around here, across the bottom, and then up the other side. And I'm not going to stitch, oh, will I stitch it in the center? Yes, I think I'll stitch it in the center to hold it there as well. So what I'll do is I'll start on this side first. And I am going to backstitch, because if you put things in your pocket, it's going to pull, and it will pull out the stitches. So I do recommend backstitching here, so it's locked. Now I can kind of see through this, so I can see where my edge is, but if you can't see through yours, then you need to trim it so it's flush with the edge of the book. Okay. These are really fun to make. Go right across and back up the other side. And when I turn it around, I'm just going to get my hand and go across and like this, and just make sure that it's taut. And there we are. So that is done. And then I'm just going to go to the center, just because when I stitch in the book pages, I don't want it to be caught the wrong way, sort of thing. I don't know if I'm explaining myself properly there. So this is my center here. You can see it goes up like that, so we don't want that. We'll go to the center and we'll just stitch down. And you don't need to backstitch there. Well, I did. It's just habit, but you don't need to. Okay. So let's trim this off. So I used for these little booklets, I used a mix of stitching and gluing. So here, let's just move this out of the way for a second. I'm just flipping it over, and I'm going to trim the excess off, because we don't need that. Trim that off. Can you hear that noise outside? And someone's drilling something, making a lot of noise. Throw that in the rubbish. Okay, and so that is my inside. Easy peasy. It's finished. And it's so pretty. So let's do the outside. So for my outside, I chose, and I'll tell you how I did this. I am so bad, I don't like measuring anything. I'll grab another piece of scrap paper. Basically, I chose my image and I put it on my piece of paper. I held it, put it in my chopping machine, and I chopped down there, and I chopped there and up there, and then that's how I got my piece. I literally did not measure anything. I hope that's okay for everybody. So what I'm going to do here, I don't want to stitch here, so what I have to do here is stitch this on directly on here without stitching it to the book. And I'm not going to stitch it to the book. I'll just stitch around there and it will be pretend, and then I'm going to glue it. So let's see. If you wanted to stitch it directly to the book, in this case, you would do the exterior first and then the interior, because you don't want to do any stitching around here, because you would stitch closed your pocket. So we'll just take that out. And you can use a contrasting thread. I haven't here, but I didn't want to change my thread in my machine. Actually, I'm not going to even stitch around that. I don't need to. Won't even hardly be able to see it. So, so that's going to go there. And I like that because you can kind of see a little bit of the writing. But the first thing is, then I chose, actually I'm going to glue that first. And then I chose this trim to go there. And I want it to overlap a little bit. So I need to glue this first. And I'm going to use my PVA glue because it's stronger. Where is it? Here it is. So we'll get the PVA glue out. And glue. I don't know about you guys, but it's starting to get hot here in Italy. Very humid. It's already humid, which is my worst nightmare. Makes me get migraines. So I'm really excited to leave on Wednesday to go to Sydney because it's winter. And I can cool down a little bit. I'm a little bit sad about leaving my husband. He's already feeling sad, but you know, I need to go and see my family. I haven't seen them for quite a while, so except for my brother who was here at Christmas. But I do need to go and see my mum and my dad. Okay. And my other brother, he just had a baby, so that's really exciting. Okay, so I've glued that there. And then my next job is to glue this down. Sometimes I get confused which is the right side. Let me have a look at it. That's the back. I can see it from here. So I'll just put this here. I don't want to cover the little face there, so I'll just have to be careful where I put it. And I think I'll glue it down and then I'll trim it off. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this stinky glue that I have. That I keep mentioning it to you, but I'll mention it again. It's a bit like the E6000 glue. And what I do, very random, is, it's a bit hard having the camera there, but I will just vaguely try to put it in the right, then I'll just go up and down like this all the way across, and then I'll just put a whole lot of glue here like so. Okay, and then I'll put my lace on, or my whatever my trim, I don't know if this is lace, but it's a trim. I'll put it on, and then I'll see where I need more glue. And it's very good glue. I tried to tear something off because on something I'd made because I wanted to move it, do something different there, and it wouldn't come off the piece of fabric. So that just shows you how strong it is. Like I literally would have destroyed what I made if I had pulled it off. So now unfortunately we're going to have to wait for this will have to dry a little bit. When it starts to dry a bit more, it seems to stick down better. So I'm just getting it to take, and then I'll be able to see after where I need to glue it more. And now while it's gluing, I will just trim it off. Like so. And what I am going to do, possibly, yes I am, I'm going to keep those bits. I'll use those for something else. I will stitch around when this is dry, all around the edge, just to make sure all of the whole book has been sewn around, so it just more closer to the edge, so it doesn't sort of start to separate, because we didn't glue all the way to the edge. So I can do that after. So that's gluing quite well. And then I want to decorate the back, and here I didn't stitch anything. I just I think I prepared a few things here that I might like. I was thinking I might like this piece here, and then just a scrap piece of, this is beautiful French, it's really gorgeous. I might glue that, and I might even leave it hanging over. And then I'm going to glue this little bee. I like that, I think. Where's my other one? I really loved how this turned out on that side. So similar sort of idea. That's what I'm going to do. So I'll go ahead and glue all of that. Again, I tore here, and so I don't get the white, that white there, the piece that you want to use, you tear you'll be, some of you are right-handed, so you would tear it that way down, and then this piece won't have any white on it. I don't know if that's clear. So let's glue. My glue's getting low. I need to put it upside down somewhere. Put the glue on here. I like to use the PVA glue, especially on the thicker pieces of paper, because I feel like it glues it down. It's more secure. Just make sure we get all the glue out to the edge. Okay, and then this one. You could use spray glue, but I find that, you know, the spray adhesive tends to not stick as well. Sometimes I use a spray adhesive, and then I'll put this liquid glue on as well, just to make sure I got it all. So this is a big piece, so this, I'm just thinking I should be able to do it. I'm just going to put it everywhere. It dries clear. It's not the end of the world. So let's just put it everywhere. Okay, let's see how we go. I need to put a little bit more. I probably should have prepared another one, so that way you could see the stitching should be alright. By the time I do the other bits, it should be okay for stitching. So I'm just making sure it takes here and there. I already can see where I need to put some more glue. So I need more glue along the top here. The other thing about this glue is it can really squirt out. It gets everywhere. So put some under there, and I need some more under there. But the good thing about it is it's super strong. Okay, so let's get that to stick down. Just wipe my hands on my garbage bag. So I always like to have a brown shopper from the supermarket, a recycled bag that I throw all my paper bits in, and then it just goes in the paper recycling bin outside the front. Okay, so that's good. And then what I would really like, actually more than the bee, is a fleur-de-lis, but I think I've used up all my fleur-de-lis stamp bits. I have to stamp some more. Let's have a look. So does anybody else collect these beautiful tins? I just use them all. They're so great. I have paper clips in them, and what do you call them? Bulldog clips, and all kinds of. They're so useful. All kinds of things. I don't think I have any more fleur-de-lis. Do I? Oh, I know I have one more thing to stick on the front as well. Oh, I do. I have one, but it's on a white. Oh well, I'll use the white. It's only for me. I might go in a book somewhere. Who knows? Okay, I think I'll use that one, not the bee, because I think it's more in keeping with my theme. And I'm just going to cut this excess off. It's a very old piece of linen. So that's in the theme, isn't it? Just trim it off a little bit. Okay. I think I'm going to glue. I like that more, yes, I do. And I'll put it up there, I think. Yes. So I think I'll just put a little, it does soak through a little bit, but it doesn't matter. Because this is a very thin linen. If it's the hemp, you seem to go better because it's thicker. But with this thin linen, you'll be able to see it will look wet. Not too bad. Okay, let's see here. Did I put any down there? I didn't put any down there. Glue that. Of course, you could choose to stitch everything, but you would have to stitch it before you put your inside bits in. Okay, that's good. Now, the next job is, my next job actually, I will stitch around that, I think I'll do it now. Or will I do it after when I've got my, I might do it after when I've got my, no, I don't want to do it after I have my pages in, so let's do it now. I think I'll just have another sip of coffee before it gets cold. Oh, 25 minutes. Really long one. Here we go. No time wasting. Let's go. I'm just guarding it, as you can see. And this is getting in the way, so I'll move that basket. And I'm just going to stitch around. And when I turn the corner, my needle is always down into the paper. Probably clogging up my needle with glue. It's probably best if you do it when the glue's dry, but I need to change my needle, so I'm not worried about it. And I backstitched it, I just don't want it to come undone. Okay. Right. So that is the exterior done. Oh no, it's not. I had one more bit to put on. I love, as you know, these little initials, and I thought that would be really lovely up there. Yep, that's where it's going to go. And I'm actually just going to put some of this very stinky glue that will probably give me a headache on the back of it, because then I know it's never going to come off. You could stitch this on, but again you would have to put your scrapbook pages on the inside after you've done the exterior. Okay, or you'll be stitching shut your pocket. Okay, good. Do I need a bit more there? Yes. A little bit more under the corners. And that one. Don't want corners popping up. Okay. Got too much there, so then I'll just wipe it on my bag. Okay. Good. Now we can organize our pages. So, what were my signatures? My signatures were, I prepared them all because I thought, oh, it would take too long. So we'll go through what types of papers I'm using. My size of my signatures, or my pages, are 12.5 centimeters. So I'll just, a little bit under 5 inches, if you can see there. And they are about 8 centimeters wide. You could do 8.5, but as you slip them into each other, they start to stick out a little bit. So I like to do them a bit less than what they should be. And it's about 3.25 inches. So I've prepared, I've got my straw paper, I've got some, I had some of those, these 6x6 pads. And I don't seem to use those papers very much, except if I want to make a thank you tag or something like that. So they're really great for this project. And then, so just a whole mix of those. These are thinner ones. And I put this one up as a pocket. So why don't we stitch around that while we're here. Forgot about, you could glue it, but I think I'll sew it. Because it's a little notebook, you probably don't want to put too many pockets in there because it'll bulk up too much. Okay, and I did backstitch at the edges here because otherwise if you put something in there it might start to come undone. We don't want that. Okay, so just some scrapbooking, lined papers. This is just an old grid paper, old blank pages from old books, white paper, eco paper. So I might not use all of these. I've got a couple of these really old ones from that French book I showed in another video. It was their civil laws. So it was perfect size. I just had to trim it down a little, so I'll slip those in there. Okay, so let's just organize our pages. So what is my inside like? Let's have a look. So it's like that. So what would I like to see? So the way I decide about my papers is, what do I want to see as my first page? Do I want to see that? I like that. Do I want to see that? I like that too. I like that too. I also like that, but that's flimsy. So let's put, maybe I'll put that, because I could decorate that. Oh, why don't I decorate that? Let's see. Get my box of trusty images over here and see. That's pretty. That's a possibility. Let's just go through quickly. That's wrong time period. I don't know if I want to see a bird there. Oh, I like William Morris. No. She's pretty. I always just pull out any possibilities that I think might be okay, and then I'll decide. I like that. That could be a possibility. We'll take that out. Ah, look at her. She's funny. Oh, I like her. We'll pull her out. Maybe we'll pull that one out too, Marie Antoinette. Let's see quickly. Let's not take too much time. I think that's probably about it. I'm starting to get low. I've been using them a lot to make tags, as we know. Okay, that'll do. Don't want to waste too much time. So which do we like the best? I like her. I think I really like her. She's really crazy. Otherwise, there's this one. Nope, don't like that one. See, it's a process of elimination. So kind of hold them. Well, I don't really like her there with that, so that's the wrong colours. So that could be good. That's pretty. Or otherwise, I was thinking this one, because this one has similar. It's that one. It's the first choice. So I'm just going to, before I do anything, I'm going to stitch that on there. Stitch it straight on there. So I'm just lining it up as best I can by eye. I'll just bring my sewing machine over. Sorry, can you see? Just. Let's move things out of the way. Okay, we're nearly done. Oops. Very bad stitching there. Might have to put a little bit of washi on there. Gone really crooked. But it doesn't matter. Okay, put that there. Okay, so that's my first page. So what I do is just mix it up, alternate my pages. I might not use all because I might have too many, so we'll just see how I go. I won't put two ecru kind of color pages together. I try not to put two white pages together. So, and I won't put, they're about the same height. I'll just slide one up and one down so they're at a different level. What else can we put in? Maybe we should put in a lined page. I also try to mix up the sizes. I don't like having too many big one, especially too many small ones near each other. Let's put this one in, and then we'll put in, not that one, we'll put in this one. This was just a long bit, and I just folded it back so you can open it out and write on it. See there, I've got two checks together. I don't normally do that, but doesn't matter. We'll put a white plain, no, this colour plain. We'll put the book page in. Then we'll put the birdies in. And the old book page. Just feeling how thick it is. I need to be able to sew through it, so I think I'll put that one in there. Yep, it's coming together. That one, I think I'll be able to get through that. Put that one, this old book page. Then we'll put this with the pocket because I want to stitch down the center of that. Okay, and then a big page and then a little page. So there we have it. So I don't know how many I pulled out. I think I'm going to be able to stitch down that. What I might do, just to hold it all together, before I stitch it into my book, I'm just going to do a little stitch on it so they don't move. Because I'm pretty terrible and they do move. Oh, it's so thick. My sewing machine doesn't like that. But it's used to me by now. Okay. See, just a little. This actually, I'm still attached to my machine. Just a sec. Get rid of all the threads. Okay. So just a little stitch down the center. This is my. Oh, I've gone a bit crooked there. It doesn't matter. And then this is, I've got to find my center here. Now, things are still drying, but it should be. I'm hoping it's going to be okay. So that's my center. That's that. Oh, yes, it's perfect. Perfectly fine. And I'm going to attempt to stitch that. Now, I might not like it. I might have put too many pages. You could always punch holes and do a regular hand stitching in there if you wanted to. So I start at the top. Can you see? Yes. And I am going to backstitch. And I think my sewing machine is going to freak out. Now I don't force it. If it gets stuck, what I do is I'll use my little handle here to make it go down if I feel like it's feeling blocked. So that way I don't break my needle. And this should be okay. I was borderline too thick for my sewing machine. Okay, we're nearly done. The last step is to get your trim, because this does need a little closure, and I've left that hanging there. I like that. So this is all still drying, but isn't that pretty? That's the back. So what I'm going to do is I'll leave it like this. I'm going to get my trim here. This is just a linen trim, which I really like. I'm not sure. I never know how long. I always cut it too long and then trim it off. So it's better to be a little bit, even though it's a bit of a waste, be abundant. So make sure they're the same. I think that's way too long, but anyway. Okay, and I eyeball it. You can measure, but I eyeball it just about where the middle is. Okay. There, like, and this is a little bit fiddly, this part, so you want to hold it. I don't want to go down too low because I've got my pocket there. So I'm just going to put this down. Okay, caught it. And I'm going to go back a bit, forwards a bit on the edge. Okay, so that's stitched. Okay. And just trim that off. And I'm going to be putting a bit of washi on either side. And so what I'll do is I'll just close it, flip it over, and hold my other one near. So that's how I'm getting my measurement, just lining it up with the other one. Sometimes it slips, it's not always exactly perfect. But do we care? Not really. It doesn't slip too much. Okay, so I'll put that down. If I go backwards and forwards, just to make sure it's strong, because you're going to be pulling it every time you tie it. And then my last job, and this is optional obviously, but I think it finishes it up a little bit. We don't need the sewing machine anymore, thank heavens. Everyone can breathe a sigh of relief. My last job is washi tapes. So I didn't bring that over. I'm not that organised. I'll just grab my little trusty box of washi tape. These are all my favourites in here. Okay, and I would like to decide what am I going to put here. Let's see. I kind of like that one. Yep. Well, let's just double check there's not something else. That's always one of my favorites. Blue. No, we don't want blue. Green. Green's an option. For one of these, that could be quite nice. No, I think I like the red. But what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of PVA glue, because washi tape doesn't tend to be so sticky. Oh, come on. Doing a bit of exercise. Just put a little bit of glue there. Am I on the screen? Yes. A little bit of glue, and then tear the washi about the length that I want and stick it down. The glue doesn't have to go everywhere, just enough to make sure it sticks on the fabric, on the linen trim. So that's one bit, and then I'm going to do, I don't think I'm going to put any on the inside. That tore a little bit, doesn't matter. I think that's okay. I'm not going to put it on the inside, but I was going to put some at the top where there were those cuts. I don't think I need to put any glue here, but I'll just put a little bit there because I like that, like so. And then I'll do the same on the back. So that's that side, and let's do the same on the back, and then I think we're done. Oh, shaky, shaky, come on. How'd you come? Okay. Well, this one, because it's going to stick onto the trim, the lace, it's better to be a little bit more abundant with the glue. I think I'm speaking in a very low voice. I hope everybody can hear me. Okay. Then once it dries, if you feel like you need to put more glue there, you can. And that's that side. I like that. That's so cute. And then all we have to do is, and then you can slip a little tag in there in your pocket, and then all you have to do is tie it. So let's see. See, I went way too long here. Way too long. But I'll just trim those off. I can use those for something else. Those extra, I didn't tie it tight enough. But I like to cut them off at an angle. Or you could tie a knot. And that's our little book. So we're done. It's made. So I hope you enjoyed that. And let me know if you have any questions. And if you have Instagram or something like that where you share what you make, I'd love to see them, so just let me know. Or you could hashtag Roxy Creations, and that way I could see them. Okay, thank you. Bye.